Hello, my friends. So I'm excited for this activity that we're going to do together. We're going to do a little bit of science today. We are going to look at some things and we're going to see if they sink or float in water. So I have a little tub full of Christmas things. We're going to drop them in some water and we're going to see whether they sink. And when they sink, that means they fall all the way to the very bottom of the bucket or the tub or whatever you have. Now, when they float, that's when they float on top of the water. They just float right on top. So we're going to see which of these items sink, go down, or float on top. And then I want you to try it at home. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the items that I have. So let me put my camera down just like that. So here's my tub of water. And here's my bucket full of different things. So let's see which of these things sink and float. So let's go ahead and let's start with an ornament. So I have this ornament that was hanging from my tree. Now, this ornament has a string on it. It's very light. I can do this and it's not heavy at all. So what do you think at home? Do you think this ornament is gonna sink to the bottom or float on top? Decide. What do you think it's going to do? All right, you have an idea in your head. So I'm gonna count to 3, count with me, and then I'm gonna let it go and let's see what happens. 1, 2, 3. It's floating on top. It did not sink to the bottom at all. It is floating on top. So this plastic ornament floats. It floats on top of water. All right, let's take a look at something else. I have 2 bells right here. They're not too heavy, but they're heavier than my ornament that we have. And there's also something inside these bells that makes the noise whenever I ring it. So decide now, what do you think about these bells? Are they gonna sink to the bottom? Bloop. Or are they gonna float on top? So decide, what do you think? Make a hypothesis. That's when we make a guess of what we think is going to happen. Okay, you have a hypothesis, you have an idea in your head. So let's count to 3 and drop them. 1, 2, 3, bloop. Oh my, did you see that bubble pop? They sank to the very bottom. They went bloop all the way down. Yep, they're all the way down at the very bottom. So let me take them out. Let me shake all the water that's inside. These bells sank to the bottom of the water. All right, now let's try another. I'm gonna try this. This is a cookie cutter that's plastic. So let's put this in water. Now make a hypothesis, make a guess. What do you think will happen when I put this in water? Is it gonna sink, bloop, go all the way to the bottom, or is it gonna float on top? Have an idea in your head, make a hypothesis. All right, let's go ahead and count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Oh, this is floating. This one is floating on top of the water. It did not sink at all. So this plastic cookie cutter floated on top. All right, well now here's another cookie cutter that's in the shape of a gingerbread man also, but this one's made out of metal. This one's harder and this one's a little bit heavier. So we're gonna drop this one in the water and see what it does. So make a hypothesis. Do you think this metal cookie cutter is going to sink to the bottom, bloop, or float on top? Go ahead and have an idea in your head, take a guess, make a hypothesis. All right, and now let's see. Let's count to 3 and drop it. 1, 2, 3, bloop. Whoa, that one went bloop all the way down. It sank to the bottom. This is at the very bottom of my little tub here. So this metal cookie cutter sank to the bottom. It sinks. All right, now we just have one more. I have a Christmas bow here. So this Christmas bow is very light. And let's see what happens to it when I put it in water. So make a hypothesis right now. Do you think this bow is going to sink to the bottom or float on top? Make your hypothesis, make your guess, and let's count to 3 and see what happens. 1, 2, 3. It's floating. It's floating right on top of the water. All right, so let's look back at the things that we put in the water. This one floated. This ornament floated. And the plastic cookie cutter floated. My metal cookie cutter sank, and our 2 bells sank. So we had 3 things that floated on top of the water and 2 things that sank to the bottom. So what do you think? Why do you think these things floated and these things sank to the bottom? It had to do with weight. These things were very light, so they floated on top of the water. These things were a bit heavier, so that's why they sank to the bottom. I hope you like this little experiment, but I want you to try it at home. Get yourself a bucket of water and pick 5 things. They could be anything. They could be a marker, it could be a crayon, it could be one of your little toys. Pick 5 of them and then drop them in water and see which ones sank to the bottom and which ones floated. All right? And what I want you to do is after you do the activity is show me the 5 things that you put in the water and tell me which one sank and which ones floated. All right? Have fun with this one, friends. Bye.